Mr. Melvin Yong.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I would like to take question 9 and 10 together.
Please do.
We do not track the number of drug offenders who have children at home, nor the number of children of drug offenders who become drug abusers later in life. But we recognize that the latter is a real risk. To address this, measures have been put in place to support families and children of offenders and ex-offenders. Singapore Prison Service works with community partners to provide them social support. Partners such as Focus on the Family, the Salvation Army, and Singapore Children's Society run family bonding programs within prisons. These programs equip inmates with the relevant knowledge and skills to improve their relationship with their families and children during incarceration. Member agencies in the Community Action for Rehabilitation of Ex-Offenders Network, or CARE Network, run programs such as the Yellow Ribbon Fund's Yellow Brick Road and ISCOR's Family Godparent programs. These programs provide tuition support to improve the children's academic performance, befriending and mentorship programs to develop the children's socio-economic competencies, and parenting skills workshop to improve the caregivers' parenting abilities. In addition, the Home Team introduced the Youth Engagement Program in 2012 to reach out to at-risk youths and keep them meaningfully occupied through sports and youth camps. Under YEP, officers from the Singapore Police Force and the Central Narcotics Bureau also serve as mentors and conduct crime and drug prevention talks. CNB works with ITE, polytechnics and universities to establish youth advocacy against youth drugs. CNB also works with the National Council Against Drug Abuse, or NACADA, to raise awareness of the harms of drugs amongst youth. NACADA has established the United Against Drugs Coalition. This is the coalition of corporate and community establishments such as clothing and F&B companies popular among youths. NACADA engages these establishments to propagate the anti-drug message to their young customers. The Ministry of Home Affairs is also working closely with the Ministry of Social and Family Development and other government agencies and community partners in an integrated approach to support at-risk children and youths, offenders and their families. To this end, the National Committee on Prevention, Rehabilitation and Recidivism, or NCPR, was set up in April 2018, co-chaired by the Minister of Social and Family Development, Mr. Desmond Lee, and Second Minister for Home Affairs, Ms. Josephine Teo. The committee facilitates collaborative efforts in research and data sharing, helps develop the capacity of organizations to support rehabilitation, and coordinates efforts to address issues of offending and reoffending. Thank you.
Mr. Melvin Yong.
Thank the SBS for the answer. I have two supplementary questions. First, I think tackling generational cycles of addiction requires many helping hands. I think first, can we leverage on their extended families or the community, such as school counselors or the many community befrienders that we have, to strengthen the current efforts? Second, can the ministry also consider assigning a dedicated case manager to each of these at-risk children when their parents are arrested, so that proper support and care can be provided to them at an early stage?
Thank you very much. We certainly agree with the many helping hands approach. There have been many of such efforts ongoing, actually. As I mentioned about the Community Action for the Rehabilitation of Ex-Offenders, or the CARE Network. This network has worked in partnership with grassroots volunteers, family service centers, and other voluntary welfare organizations, and have been providing support to children of inmates and ex-offenders. And I also mentioned about the family bonding programs run by the various community partners such as Salvation Army and Singapore Children's Society, which are targeted at inmates, children, and caregivers. We also have launched recently in July 2016 the CARE Network Children Support Program. One of the key features of the program is to provide case management services to enable more effective assessment of the needs of children of inmates and ex-offenders and channeling them to the relevant VWOs for follow-up. But nevertheless, the thrust of the suggestion for us to do more and better has been well noted, and this is what the NCPR committee will be reviewing and discussing to see how we can intensify efforts to ensure that we can prevent intergenerational offending.
Engineer Libiwa.
Thank you, sir. I have seen cases where residents go in and out of jail because of drug offenses. And I'm aware that they have very young children at home. So I would like to ask SBS, in cases where they are repeat offenders, or some cases both parents are drug addicts and repeat offenders, can there be more systematic, more proactive way of giving help to the children at home to make sure that the children are not adversely affected? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We certainly agree with the need for more help to be given to children of ex-offenders, in particular the sad situation when both parents are incarcerated. So we have to do our best in an imperfect situation because we recognize that parents play a very big role in the lives of children. But given this imperfect situation, relatives would have to come in, the community would have to rally and help to fill in the gaps. One of the projects that we have is the Yellow Ribbon Community Project, where grassroots volunteers visit family, gather information on the needs, and link them up to the grassroots advisors, as well as to existing support structures such as residents committee and various other avenues of help, including the community development councils. Recently, we enhanced the YRCP. We called it YRCP 2.0, and we have been training volunteers so they can make a greater impact. And one of the key areas we are training them is to give them the skills and support to ensure that they can play a role in rekindling familiar bonds, providing positive pro-social support, and better identifying vulnerable children. And as I mentioned, one of the roles of NCPR is also to see what else can be done. We recognize there are gaps, and it is something that we got to make the best of in an imperfect situation.
Mr. Lewisam.
It's mentioned just now that we're currently not collecting data on the generational correlated offenders. So I'm just wondering whether MAH can start collecting such data so that all the programs that SPS mentioned, we can see whether it's working, and we can start to see whether the trends is going up or going down as well.
Thank you very much. We are definitely looking into that, but it is quite a challenge because for some of these families, there's been a breakdown in family relationships, and for some of them, they've not been in touch with their spouses and may not know where their children are. But we are nevertheless trying. We have a rough sense, but we are not able to share because there needs to be more work put into this. Thank you.
Engineer Libiwa.
Thank you, sir. Just now, SBS mentioned that the community can come in to help, advisor can come in to help. Yes, definitely, we would be very keen to help. But for my last 12 years as an advisor, I never get any information on this. So I'm just thinking maybe more, the first cut of help should come from those who know about the case, the agency, I think that, who come in to help. And then if you think that community can help or advisor can help, then refer those cases to us. I think we are very concerned on children because you will know that who are the repeat offenders. When they go in, can check the background and then can also check whether they have the young children at home or not. Thank you.
Over 80 constituencies are involved in our Yellow Ribbon community program. I will check whether your constituency is part of it. But this program, through this program, the grassroots volunteers actually receive information from prisons, and there's been regular house visits done. So we have got quite a number of volunteers. So I will certainly check whether your constituency is involved, and we will link you up with the right resources to ensure that your residents will get the support they need.
Mr. Cedric Foo.
Speaker, sir, for the SPS, ideally, of course, family should be the rightful caregivers for children. But we know the society is not ideal, and there are many dysfunctional families where I think the children would maybe better off if they are housed in a boarding school and they go back on weekends. Would the ministry consider such a concept?
We will consider that, but I think for now, we would look at family as a first line of defense. In particular, even when the parents are incarcerated, there are others like grandparents, aunts and uncles that can help. And we would actually look to family as the first line of defense.